Hey, everybody, I'm Doug Parks, one of the co-founders of Intentional Churches. And today I want to talk to you about this question. I just heard it so much in the last several months about pastors not finding enough time in their schedule to do the leading they need to do in their church. So I'm going to start by teaching one of the principles we teach out with Intentional Churches inside of ChurchOS called, it's a guiding belief called zero-sum proposition. And what we mean by that is there is no innocent yes. When we say yes to certain things, it means automatically we have to say no to something else, because in every one of our lives, time is a very finite thing. We all have about 364 hours a month that we get to steward across all the domains of life, personal and family and ministry. And so in this finite time, we have to figure out how we juggle things and become more efficient so that we can get back time to lead. So the biggest thing I could say to you is this is not going to be very sexy. All right. So the way you get back time, I would argue, is by having more and more effective meetings. And I know many of you are going, wah, wah. I thought I was going to have some magical answer to this dilemma for me. So the way I have more effective meetings is, number one, you need to start by having an aligned agenda template. And what I mean by this is that if you and your church, no matter the size, have a templated way in which you run meetings, we can now train your staff and volunteer leaders about how to go about running a meeting, how to prep for it, and how to harvest the action coming out of those meetings. After that, it is imperative that there is an owner in advance of the meeting for each agenda item. We will oftentimes, as we're working with churches, we'll walk into meetings or hear about, we kind of make the agenda up on the fly and nobody knows who's really running point on it. And so we spend precious minutes of our meeting time trying to figure this stuff out along the way. And then after the owner needs to have an end in mind with each agenda item, an end in mind. Conceptually, all we're saying here is that if you've done your prep coming into the meeting, you're responsible for the agenda item, that you're very clear with the team what's getting done with this agenda item. Do I need a decision? Is this an FYI where I'm just informing the team? Do I need some brainstorming time where we can do some ideas around the agenda item that we're talking about? This is very important because many church meetings get bogged down when we don't know what we're trying to get done in that agenda item during the meeting. This one's a fun one that I probably can almost hear the cheers out there. And that is limit your meetings to 90 minutes or less. If you're in a retreat, try to schedule 90-minute or less blocks. And this was a fun one to kind of research in that, scientists have actually looked at how often humans go to the restroom. And it depends on how much water you drink. On average, people in a day go every 90 minutes or so, and we're all on different timetables. So, and then they talk about the loss of efficiency when someone steps out of the room to go to the restroom. They're usually going to check their phone. Their brain has now broken off from the conversation that's happening in the room. And now to recover, it takes a while. And so we lose minutes here. So yes, try to keep your meetings to 90 minutes or less. And then finally, I'm going to give you a bonus one. And I had a close friend in my time as executive pastor. He was a businessman through and through, and he would come to church meetings and he'd be like, man, if I wasted as much time in meetings as you guys do in church leadership, I would not make money. And he challenged us. Here's the bonus. What would have to be true to cut your meeting time in the next 2 months by 20%? Maybe it's 30%, but start with 20%. What would have to be true? Some of the disciplines I've listed here for sure would have to be, but you can brainstorm as a team. What would have to be true for us to cut 20% of our meeting time out? And in that, you will find some magic back in your calendar and more times, especially as you get more disciplined around it. All of this is part of what we teach in ChurchOS, the ability to steward our time really well and be more efficient so we can get on with the work of ministry along the way. So if you want to know more about partnering with us, just check out intentionalchurches.com, and thanks for listening.